welcome you to the Priscilla R. Tyson Cultural Arts Center for our Conversations and Coffee as we come together on the 7th day of December 2023. 7th day of December is the eve of Hanukkah, and as we see in our imagination the menorah and the lights, let us hope for peace, reconciliation, and healing. I'm Ellen O'Shaughnessy, coordinator of the Conversations and Coffee program, and we're delighted to have with us today Lavonne Suwalski, multimedia painter and instructor here at the Cultural Arts Center. Some of you are signing up for her classes Saturday. Lavonne has artistic roots in New England and Ohio. She is a fine arts major from Emmanuel College in Boston and has a master's degree from Clark University in Worcester, Massachusetts. Lavonne shares that she has taught art to generations, from teaching children to teaching adults. Her style is colorful and fun and has encouraged painters of all ages as exemplified by members of her class here at the Cultural Arts Center. I've heard, they have said, it's wonderful. Lavonne has always had an interest in color, light, and nature, and a love for animals. These interests and the beauty of the landscape have inspired many of her paintings. Lavonne expresses her feelings about art by saying, "Watercolors are my passion. I love the fluidity and the transparency that can only be experienced in this media." When an artist learns to give themselves enough freedom to allow the paint to assist them in developing the art, the results are truly magical, she says. It is this union of artist and medium that creates the beauty of watercolor. Lavonne shares that she loves to express her enthusiasm and passion for painting with other artists of all levels and abilities. It is my making art user-friendly and jump-starting new painters that motivates and encourages the artist to continue creating. Ah, what a vocation. Leavon has taught art for 35 years in New England, owned an art gallery in Jackson, New Hampshire, had a local TV show in New England. Let's have one here. Hey. Leavon, how wonderful that you're with us as instructor and artist at our beloved Cultural Arts Center. So take it away.
Oh, my turn. My turn. Yeah. Well, I want to just start by saying that anytime anyone in this audience wants to ask a question or interrupt me, I'd be thrilled. Because then if something goes wrong, I can blame it on you. But today, I am going to start by talking a little bit about my journey through the arts. And I think I'd like to tell this because there are a lot of people who do not feel they have creativity or they're not talented. And they may be timid or they haven't painted since or drawn since they were in elementary school. And I just want them to know that I was not the artist. I was a physics major when I entered college, with parents who liked the idea of me being in the sciences and being able to get a job, you know? There are a lot of people who relate to that. But then they made me take an elective freshman year, and it was in art history, and we had one day in the studio. I was so bad. My boats floated over the water. my people were just, they were just awful. But I loved it. I just loved it. And I couldn't wait to go back. And the head of the department finally said to me, she goes, "Why are you majoring science when you obviously have a passion?" Well, she talked my dad into letting me major art and told him, which he just about into his 90s used to quote to everybody, that she said that she could teach me how to draw, but she couldn't teach somebody how to have passion. So that was my start. So I'm a very competitive little human being in here, but I don't want anyone to know it. So I was the worst art major that they ever had, I am sure. But I was up in that art studio. I had so many art credits, it was incredible. And then I would get somewhat better, but they were all so good, the other art majors. They came in with portfolios. I didn't know what pastels were or egg tempera. I had no idea. You could ask me the periodic table, and I probably understood that, but not the other stuff. So after graduation, I taught, and I worked at being an artist. Oh, I worked really hard. I took workshops. I did everything. And I was competing with those girls that I had been in school with. And come the 25th anniversary of our college reunion, I've got a painting on Newbury Street in Boston. That's big time, Well, they're working in offices. They're doing all. Not a one of them was still doing art. So what I kind of thought that the art has just been so important to me and has really made my life. And it has been hard work, but I was a knowing adult, realizing how I had progressed. That has helped me, I think, with students. And I like to get them to feel the same way. So this has been a really important part of my life. That's why I love teaching. I have the best classes here. I say every week, I say to them, do they ask you when you come in here, are you the best, the best artist? I said, they must, because they only give me the best on Saturdays. So that doesn't mean if you're not the best, you can come anyway, because we're a lot of fun on Saturdays. Are there any questions?
What time are the classes on Saturdays?
I have a 9 a.m., which goes, and then an afternoon one at 12:30. Okay. And there are about 24 people in the class, and they're all levels of artists. I have a bunch, and a lot of people, which I think is so wonderful. They come with their families, or I have a father-daughter combination, and they meet and paint together. I've had one table where everybody spoke a different language than I do, but they laughed at my jokes, so I figured they were getting it.
Watercolor class.
Mm-hmm.
This is watercolor class.
Yes, yes. I'll delve into anything as well as watercolor, but watercolor is my chosen medium because I was very concerned with the environment years ago before people were concerned. And I realized that many of the paints that we were using in the old days were very, very toxic. And people would get sick that I knew, and it really bothered me. So when I had my children, I decided I wanted to go to a medium that was healthier. And I used a non-toxic palette. So I don't use cadmiums and stuff. Even now, I don't use them. And I love to do the same thing in different ways because I do it once and I go, oh, what else could I do? These I call my flights of fancy. I have a bunch of them. And I teach people how to do them. When I am painting, and in the beginning, I used to paint too quick, and then I turned everything into this thing called mud. It was really not attractive. And what I learned was if I waited, but I didn't have the patience. So I started drinking a cup of coffee. That didn't work. I was drinking too much. So I went from drinking coffee to playing Nintendo. Those of you who are my age bracket will know what Nintendo is. Space Invaders. Well, I wasn't very good at playing it, but the amount of breaks I took, I get so good at Space Invaders that I get the highest score I've ever seen. I have a picture of this that I bring to class to share because it was really high score. But I wasn't getting any better at painting. So what I did was I do 2 paintings or more at a time. This is my style. And so these are flights of fancy I do between doing a picture that might be more like this. And then I just, while this is drying, I go in and do these loose, wild flowers. Oh, there's another. Now I got fancy, and I added a vase to it. Same flight of fancy. And what I find is when I do these, they're like somebody who warms up, probably shooting baskets in a you're not playing a game, but you're shooting baskets, you're trying to get rim shots or whatever they call it. These are all based on color. And so I work through the rainbow across my page on them. They just give me, and they're good because I can practice doing brush strokes. I don't like boring exercises. So for me, this works really well. So let me keep going. Okay, the more. Now, I also do, these were not a flight of fancy. This painting is hanging in my hall. It's huge. I did a demo in a town, and when I got to do the demo, they had, there were a couple hundred people at this demo, and there was a professor from college who was sitting right there in the front row with students taking notes on me. Oh. And I was working flat, which I usually don't. And then an overhead mirror, and I ran out of one of my colors of paint, and I had a bad kind of paper with me. Everything went wrong. And I was so upset about, I can show you the mistakes on it. I'm going over. Okay. When I was doing, look at all these marks. They were, the paint just did stuff I didn't intend for it to do. So I was so upset that I left. I went to the back of the room. I thought I was going to escape. Then I realized I couldn't escape. All my stuff was up here, you know? So I get to the back of the room. I turn around, and I think, I can't leave. So I sat in the back row thinking, what am I going to do? I looked up, and I went, oh, my goodness, that's good. From 30 feet away, it looks really good. I have this hanging on my wall to remind myself every day, don't judge things until you stand away and take a look at them. So that's, now where the heck, I need a keeper. You guys will know that. If you ever take my classes, you know I put things down and forget where they are. This is just throwing paint on a piece of paper and seeing what happens. I do a little of all of these in all my classes.
So, Lavonne, I have a question for you. Yeah. If you don't use cadmium colors, where do you get those rich reds and blues?
I use a color called Red Hot Mama for my red. I use a lot of different reds. I do not use the cadmiums, though. They're probably okay now. But back when I was using, there was lead, there was arsenic in some of the paints. So it was really, I can't tell you how many people I knew that had something wrong with them, and at too early an age, and they were all artists, lead poisoning or, oh, we get the weather. This is another one. Now, all of the things you see here are things I teach in my classes. And I do it, and you see how I do it, and then people get a chance to do it themselves. Everybody in my class walks out with a finished picture, I hope almost finished, in every class, and there is a critique at the end. That is not my idea. I do not like doing that, but they all love the critiques because they like to see what other people do and what little thing they can do to hone in and make the picture a little bit better.
On that piece is the only section that doesn't have paint on it, the two white sections there, but everything else has paint. You add white.
No white. Nope, no. It was, it's just done all wet, just totally wet. That takes a long time to dry. Okay, back to this thing. Okay. This one, I love this picture. If you get up close, you can see all my lines where the flowers were supposed to be. And I got mad at it. And I got frustrated. So I took my bottle of paint and I squeezed it all over the place and shot it with a spray bottle. And I love that picture. I just love it. But it's nowhere what I intended it to be, and that's a good thing. This one is another one where I put paint on the paper, and I see what it looks like to me. And then as it reminds me of something. This is one I teach everybody how to do these kind of flowers. I made them up. And I show them how to drag the color out with it. And then a few of them, I just get crazy and I'll add a vase or I'll do something different to it. This one, I taped it and painted across it. And I never know where. I love this picture. I just like it. My favorite teapot. Now I've got some that I did because this is my grandson playing hockey, and I was doing members of the team as well, and I loved it. Their coach was so fair to the players that I was so impressed that I did a picture like this for him as a gift. I just love that. You know, when you get somebody who's fair and nice, I'm going to point here. Just now I think I must be in my house phase, different buildings. This is along the coast in Massachusetts. This is up in New Hampshire, one of my favorite spots to paint. It was cold that day. I had to go get a cup of coffee to keep my hands from my fingers bending. This is the same location, but it's the back end behind. It's an old farm, and then there was the church there. This is all in the same area of New Hampshire. A little town, the store went out of business. They couldn't keep it up, and the people all missed hanging out together at the store. So they purchased the store, the town did, and everybody takes turns running it, and they bring in their own cookies, and they make their own. It's called Freedom, is the name of the town, and it is just, I love it. They had people's old kitchen tables, and I walked in and I'm thinking, this is not like a restaurant. This is a little, yeah, it was really neat. This is most of my pictures have a meaning to me. And I think that I used to teach in this town, and this was a street that I went between buildings for 35 years. And I used to say when I retired, I wanted them to name that street the Lavonne Suwalski Memorial Intersection. They never did, and if this goes out to Columbus, we'll have to send it out to them, and I'll ask. Maybe I'll get my intersection. This is the back end of a house. I love the back ends of things. I don't know why. There's something intimate about the back end of houses. That's the same house But from my different way of looking at it, I don't always follow the lines. This is real. This was a view outside my gallery. This is a real picture. And many of my New Hampshire pictures are based on this location. Can you imagine? It was a mountain behind there, too. What a view. This is just an old house. I was on location painting it. This is another one on location in Rhode Island. Rockport, Massachusetts is a stop sign there. Every time I stopped at the stop sign, I took a picture of this house. Loved it. This is that that Freedom, New Hampshire as well, behind the barn. I made this up. I just took a bunch of buildings and put them together and made it up, and then painted it orange because I figured that would, what the heck. This is another one that is out of my head. Many of these are buildings I've been to, but I put them together and made a painting of it. And I did it more in complementary colors. And this one is this sucker right here. I do a lot of that lighthouse. Come on. That's the same lighthouse. You'll see it a lot. I love that lighthouse. When you get something that works well, you do it. I got to see.
Exactly is this lighthouse?
Huh?
Where exactly is this?
This is Cape Ann up in Gloucester. This is the one when the perfect storm, when they went out in the boat in the perfect storm, that's the lighthouse they passed. I'm looking. I have another one of it. It's got to be up here that I did. You'll see it in the slides. That I did it cubistic style. This is it done in different style, different colors. If I like something, I love the shape. I love to explore different ways of doing it. And sometimes I haven't finished with this lighthouse yet. Same lighthouse, done in shades of blue. This is the same lighthouse done cubistically. And I love the idea. Cubism, I think we all get scared of it, but it's really fun to do because you see the same thing and you see it from different points of view and you draw it and you don't care if the lines go through lines or they don't go through lines. And this is also a cubistic painting in the still life. And then I have one here. I have a lot of them. This is the same barn. I like certain things. So back to this. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, come on. Same lighthouse. I got mad at this one too. You can see I squeezed the paint straight out of the tube up there. It was running too much. I was having trouble. So I do these things. And then I get it and I think, I like that a lot. I probably couldn't do it again if my life depended on it. And this is in shades of a limited palette with more the pinks and purples. Mystic, Connecticut. I love it when you have combinations of things going. I've done a lot of Mystic, Connecticut. This is done by just, I scrape rocks and I use tissue, which I went and stole a box of tissue paper here. I use tissue to make the rocks. They're not that hard to make once you get a few tricks under your belt. And now when I was up in New Hampshire, because my gallery was in the White Mountains, I did a lot of trees. Oh, come on. A lot of birch trees, a lot of trees that were so dense you could barely see through the forest. So you're going to see most of these are big. They're huge. This one here, I might have it with me. I did the birch trees, and then I love it when I can do something, and I went outside the lines, and I painted outside the lines as well, just because, why not?
Your painting is so engaging. You just go right into it. And when you showed the photo, as you did, you just kind of sit back, that's a photo. But your painting, did you notice that? Yeah. People are saying, just draws us right into it.
I like to think of it kind of being up close and personal with what I'm doing and sharing it with you.
Anybody else want to comment?
What I really like about your work is your architecture aren't perfect lines. They slump. They look worn. Not worn, but they look like they're lived in. They look homey and cozy and something that you would want to visit. And I have one of your big pieces on my wall at home because I loved it so much.
The farm.
Yes.
I love that farm.
Me too.
So
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. That is, I have to learn how to, this is a long picture. It's very long, and again, I did it up in New Hampshire. A lot of these are my views up there. I got a chance to do an art show up there. I'd never done a big art show. Nobody ever saw my work until 1989. I painted, but I never showed anyone because I didn't think I was good enough. And I had a professor at college she was so nice that I made stationery for her, but she didn't know it. And I sent it to her as an anonymous gift. And she figured out who it was. And she said, well, where are you showing your work? And I said, I'm not. And she set me up at the college for a one-man show. And then I had a show with the Museum of Fine Arts in Worcester with their impressionist paintings, and they put my paintings up next to them. I was like, ah! And I'd never had a show before. And it was like, that was the year I graduated with my master's, and it was like somebody opened a door for me. And so this is done by, I was told I couldn't do this. I was in a workshop, and the person that was giving it said, oh, you can't do trees, because I don't know why, but that's what she said. So, of course, that's all it takes for me. If you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to figure it out. And this is done by, you ready? I just took water and made the picture, part of it. And then I took my paint and I just dropped it in with an eyedropper and went like this. And then, see, it all mixed. And then I let that dry, and then I did it again and again and again. And it looks like trees. That's a good thing. Just don't tell me I can't do something. This is done. This is one that the original, I think, is over there. This was done in my class. And it's done without really much of a paintbrush. It is done using credit cards and palette knives. And everybody gets to do them. Theirs are beautiful. And we all do them, and they are just done with that. Yes.
So is the paint, when you do that with a palette knife, because I used to paint acrylic and use a palette knife, but is it thick then? Thicker than a regular, or
It's like
it's
water.
water? It's
It's
more
like
like pudding.
pudding.
Oh, okay.
Watercolor, yeah. And this is all wet. The paper's all wet.
Yeah.
And then now I take my pictures. I don't have too many of these because what I do is in my class, I take the same picture and I turn it into a cityscape, just to show them that you can do it by just using more the straight edge, that you can turn them into cityscape. So this was done that way too. The water lines are done by a process. I teach this in the classes as well. It's done by lifting with a thirsty brush. And I do a lot of that.
Tell me what that means. What's that mean? That's amazing.
I take a brush. This is one of my favorites for doing thirsty brush. I wet it. It's clean. And I dry it a little bit. I don't dry completely, but it's pretty dry. And then I go in and I actually pull it down a little bit, wet it, make it thirsty again, do it again, do it again, do it again. And I can turn, this was done without painting. This is done by lifting with a thirsty brush.
And you're going to do a demonstration for us.
Sure, whichever you want to see. I can
Yeah.
do it.
All right.
Can we have more than an hour? What am I doing now? I forget. I got to get this. This thing has got to be attached to me. Okay. I'm going back. So this was done the same way. And then this one was done where I paint all over the paper. I will show you one of these. It's like magic. It takes me about 10 minutes. I paint all over the paper, and then I lift the white out. I want to demystify watercolor. It isn't the big, bad, scary thing. You can do so many good things with it. It really can be fun.
I have a question. Because you're showing a lot of landscapes, buildings, architecture, it's still shots. And I have the honor of owning a piece of work done by Lavonne, my husband and our little dog. And that's watercolor that you did that in?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. I mean, the detail on my husband's face and my dog. I have a little white dog. And just incredible. I wish I would have brought it. I wish I would have, because I don't see any people, portraits in your...
I don't do very many portraits. I've done them, but I don't. I seem to focus more on the landscape, and especially, I'm more of a teacher. That's what I consider myself, a teacher. And I love bringing people along to, I consider this like a road, and I am on the road, and people may be a little behind me on the road, some people are ahead of me, and we're all traveling the same way. And what painting has given me, and what I've seen it give, I used to teach senior citizens in Massachusetts, and they would say to me, maybe they get ill. And one lady came in one day, and I said, "What are you doing?" She was in such pain. And she said, "The only time I'm not in pain is when I'm with you and painting." Wow. How can you know? That's how I started the TV show. Because when she went into, she couldn't leave the house. And I started the TV show because then she could watch me on TV. So whenever she was having problems, she'd put my show on.
Great story.
And one time I was at my daughter's house, and one of her friends said, "Oh my goodness, I try to put cartoons on for my child when I'm trying to make supper." And she said she goes and gets her crayons, and she turns you on TV, and she colors along with you. I can't tell you, I'm getting almost teared up over this one, but
Really great, yeah.
when can you make that kind of an impact on people? And every time, even if people aren't painting with me, every time you see one of my paintings, I influence some thought process. It's magic. These are two I did wet and wet lifting, all lifting color using the thirsty brush on wet paper. I teach this. I'm going to be teaching that this week here. And, oh God, this is that one there. These, believe it or not, these are really easy to paint. I think they're really easy. And I get a bunch of people who love them. It's like painting in the squares. This is the one when your toe hurts, you paint one of these, you haven't a clue that it hurts because you get sewing. It's like a Sudoku of painting. And they're really, and they're not that hard to do. Oops. I use, I'm a repurposer. I love to repurpose anything I can. And so you will see that this used to hold my Comet cleanser in going to the bathroom. I've got a jar in here. I repurpose anything I can. But I'm going to do a couple real quick ones. I'm going to pass this around because people may want to take a picture of these. I'm going to show you. This is one of my most fun toys. And they're non-toxic. I looked them up. And I think kids would love them. So, but I'm going to pass those around. I've got my girlfriend back in Massachusetts. She usually sends me a gift as a present because everybody knows that I love these things. Repurposing, I use, it's like a corrugated board here. And I usually paint at an angle, but the best time, we're coming up, political signs. They make really, I don't know what this is about, I just love them. So they can be cut up really nicely if they don't want them anymore. Sometimes I just shove them in a dumpster. And one of my students got a bunch out of a dumpster. So these make great things to paint on. Not paint pictures, but I got to put this down for a second. Oh, right there. Usually I do blue tape. I've got a few artists who don't like blue tape because they tell me that, and I don't know, didn't bring it with me today. They tell me that the blue tape changes the values or something. I don't know. I like the blue tape because I know where to end. And I'm just going to grab a pencil. Now, I'm going to do that lighthouse because I could do that in my sleep. And it makes life easier. And when I'm going to throw this over here. When I draw, can everybody see this? Or do I need to raise it? Okay, let me pull it over. You guys all right? Okay. I'm going to start. The first thing I do, I'm going through this like my class, is that my paper is a certain width, almost all of it. And what I do is I make sure I have a little line there because I want something kind of important there or a little bit more toward the center. So let's start with the lighthouse. And I'm going to, now I want you to notice also that I do not lift my pen or my pencil from the page. I contour draw the picture. So here, I hope everybody can see. I'll move over here. It isn't important that I can see. And besides, I have a good excuse when it goes bad. I'll say, oh, well, what do you expect? I can't even see my picture. Okay, and I'm just going to come over like this with it. There's a house over here. I got a heat stroke painting this building back in the day, and the lighthouse keeper, his wife, she was so nice. She felt bad, so she came out and gave me something cold to drink, and then as I was recuperating, she said, would you like to go in the lighthouse? And, oh, yeah. So I went up in this lighthouse. I don't know if anybody's ever been in lighthouses. This is probably the worst drawing I've ever done of it, but we'll see. I went up in this lighthouse, and you know, in these days, they didn't have fancy lights, and the lights went around. So I'm climbing. I get to this point, and you got to go on a ladder and up the stairs. I get to the top, and there's a hole, and the light's going. So you had time getting through the hole and getting up there. I didn't realize that it would be so difficult timing, not losing your foot and getting your leg back down on the thing on the way down. I spent a long time up there going, oh, what a beautiful view. Oh, what a beautiful view. I kept going over and I kept, nope, get my foot out, nope. And so it was really a wonderful experience. So this is the things that I was passed around. They are actually made for calligraphy. My usual, I drop things all over the place. They're actually made for calligraphy, and this is the only brand I know that does it. It splits apart when it gets wet and makes these wonderful colors. So I'm going to just very simply outline my lighthouse. I don't even care if I match the lines, which I haven't. I'm going to show you in a minute. You're going to love it. It's like magic. If you're traveling, it's a great tool to take with you on a trip because you can get these. If I'm in somebody's way, you just tell me because I'll just move over. I'm used to not looking at my work because I had to keep my eye on those students. Okay, now this is all contour drawing. Now I could get really fancy with this, but I'm not going to right now. The heck with the lid. Okay, I'm going to pick one of my favorite brushes, and I do not use expensive things except for my paper, and the paint is ridiculous now, but I'm going to take this. Now, I am going to decide the sun is coming from over there, and so I'm going to come down. Now, the sun is coming, so there's this, and now I've got to wipe this off because I'm at quite an angle. Now, that lighthouse is casting a bit of shadow over the roof of the lighthouse here, and it's, come on, casting a shadow right here. You know, you guys can holler at me if I'm not loud enough.
Was that a blue marker or black?
No, it's black. It's, if as time goes on, it's going to turn pink and purple.
Oh, really? Well, because black has every color in it.
This is all the colors. Now, I do not have luck with the other color ones that are from this. This is the one. Now, this is going to cast a shadow over here. I show this to everybody because I just think they are so much fun. And one of the paintings that I showed you earlier, I actually used it on a finished watercolor. If your watercolor kind of goes bad, not that yours will, but if it kind of like just doesn't have the punch, you can get in here and have some fun with it. This has got an overhang, and maybe you can put some, you know, shingles, whatever you want to do with this. And the rocks, now it isn't turning pink. It also depends on the age of these things, how colorful they get to be. This is the shadowed side. This is so much. Do you see how fast this is? It's magic. It is magic. I love magic. Okay, so there is just about a finished picture now. So let's go in. Now, this may be very lovely like this. Can you imagine? It could be a lot smaller too, if I wanted it to be. I mean, little sketches. Wow, look at that. I'm just wetting now. Oh, I've got 10 minutes. I better do a waterfall with the lift. I'm going to just wet this. I love doing skies like this. Let's get some Red Hot Mama and some Halloween orange. I'm not kidding about those color names. Chick Joe's has a line of paint, and they have the best names on the paint. Okay, I'm just putting some orange sky would be nice. Oh, more orange sky. Oh, yeah. It's not wet enough over here.
I'm not sure.
Now, just because that's kind of pretty, it might be nice if I do some blue in this. It's wet. If it isn't wet, I'm in deep trouble. As long as it's wet, I can do anything I want. It isn't very wet, so I'm going to add more water to this. Whatever you do, don't repaint over your sky. They'll tell you that. That's one of the rules. Oh, look at that. Oh, I love it when it does stuff like this. And it just, look at that. That is, I like that. And, oh, I have the dark there, so I can, hopefully this isn't too wet. I would not normally do this. I'm going to, though, anyway. I'm going to take some strong dark here. I don't care, red and green and purple and whatever. And hopefully this will not run. There. Oh, cute little window. I hate this brush, so that one is going, I like them flat. This one might. There we go. 1/8 of an inch. I get lazy. It's easier to do it this way than having to sit there and make all those strokes. Let's put some lights over here and here. We'll give this little one right here. Here, this is on the lighthouse. There'll be something maybe here. Is that getting that? Oh man, you guys are an easy group. And now it would be better if it were dry and, you know, I could do all kinds of stuff to it, but it gives you an idea. Shall I do, I got 6 minutes. Shall I lift a waterfall? Yes. Oh, yes.
We want to see that.
I'm gonna take this and just, okay.
Having lived in the Gloucester area for 5 years, this is just taking me right there. Loved it.
I love that area. Okay, I'm gonna turn this around because I want the waterfall to come down. And this is gonna be really fast. And it's gonna look real, I'm gonna pull this over here because I get very messy sometimes. Oh, hold on, go back. I like waterfalls a lot. But when we were traveling, I discovered that when you're in some of the countries with the mountains and stuff, that they'll be in the middle of the mountain. All of a sudden, a waterfall just sort of shoot out. Switzerland was a country. The glaciers, you know, it's getting spring, the glaciers are starting, the ice is starting to melt, and you get these instant little things. So I had to figure a way to do it. Back to this so you can hear me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the top of this hill. I got to have my palette the right direction, or I don't know what I'm digging into. There we go. And if I am in your way, you just holler at me. Do I have any questions while I'm preparing this fabulous thing? Here we go. Okay, this is going to be the, I will draw my very important thing. Okay.
Lavonne, if someone were to take your class and we don't have experience,
I've got a lot of them.
so do you give a list of materials to purchase?
There is a list. Don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. It has every color. It's got so many colors in it. Just come in the beginning. You could actually work in any class in watercolor in maybe 2 or 3 colors. You'll need good paper, brushes, stuff like that, but just let me know. There is a list, but people usually start with a very inexpensive starter kit of watercolor. By the time they finish the class, they want the good stuff. And this is my hill for my mountain. Okay, here I'm gonna put some trees here. Let me get some Prussian in here, my favorite color. Well, not my favorite, but I love Prussian. It's the only color that when you put it in the computer, it capitalizes itself. If there's another one, I'd be surprised. I just think that is such a cool thing. I'm just going in now. I want you to notice, I can't do that, I'll show you later, that when I do this, my colors are totally mixed up on this palette. I do not homogenize things much. I literally, oh, that's looking so good. You got to tell yourself that kind of stuff. Paintings love to hear it. They don't want to hear that they're lousy. Yes. I also do this a lot. I'm back and I look and I go, oh, and back and. I'm always so impressed when I do something good. You know, it's like a surprise to me too. It's just fun. Oh, yeah. And I talk because I'm a teacher, and that if I verbalize things, I think it might help you. It may not, but in my mind, there is somebody here who needed to hear somebody say, oh, that's why I'm doing this. And so even though I find it difficult sometimes to talk and paint at the same time, I do that. And I demonstrate, and trees, see, trees, yeah. Now, I'm going to take lots of stuff, and I'm just going to smear this. I'm getting stuff. Oh, yeah. Let's smear this picture and throw some yellows on it. This is why my palette's such a mess. Here we go. Woo! Oh. Gosh, if this doesn't work, I'm going to have to hang my head. Cut the last 5 minutes. Oh, I've only got a couple minutes left. I'm going fast as I can. Come on. Okay. Oh, isn't that looking lovely? That's going to be a waterfall. I got to put.
I was just going to say congratulations. You have engaged us in such a beautiful way, have you not? Oh, Lavonne Suwalski.
Well, thank you.
Yes, and your paintings are so engaging. We thank you. And we thank you for the dance that you share and the word that you share.
You'd
What
think
a great
I'd be skinny with all this moving around, but
But what a great teacher you are. Oh, such a gift. How has that been passed down to you or to you? Who was your teacher? You have learned this all.
No, I just know what it did for me, and then I tried to help people.
Beautiful. Another round of applause. You have engaged us. Oh, thank you.
Lift my waterfall. Now, what is it? Wiggle like these. Look at how nice that is. This is just, there's no magic. This is just a brush And
That's what lifting
lifting.
is, lifting the
Yeah.
color.
And
That is amazing.
with a thirsty brush. And then if I want this to have foam or froth, now notice every time I go in, clean the brush and pull it up. Oh, that's looking so good.
It is.
And then, love this too. It looks better than a credit card. It just looks, I mean, this is like that sports car scrapers. Okay. White. Let's see. Let's put some little bushes down here. And darn. I didn't say that. I'm going in and mixing burnt sienna and Prussian blue. It makes the prettiest to me pine tree color. I love this color. Let's put some right here. I'm gonna put a tree right here. This is gonna run a bit because everything is still wet, but that's okay. I'm just gonna make a little tree. Just what happens. It's so magical.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Oh, nice tree. Oh, look at the little run. Look, this color is just so wonderful. Give it a tree doesn't like being lonesome. So I've got to give it a little friend right here. And maybe this friend is growing a little bit in front of the waterfall. Now over here, I could have some other stuff. I don't know what it's going to be. But is that, I don't know. I think I'm out of time, but that's